Imagine holding in your hand a small piece of history, a coin that has silently witnessed the passing of decades. The two-piso coin of 1984 is more than just a medium of exchange. It is a window into the social, political, and cultural landscape of the Philippines. During a transformative era, the story of this coin begins at a time when the Philippine nation was under the leadership of President Ferdinand Marcos, and the country was at the height of a period marked by both rapid modernization efforts and deepening political unrest. The two-piso coin, introduced in 1983 and continued in 1984, represented not only an adjustment to the currency system, but also a carefully designed piece of national identity. This coin was larger in size compared to the 1 peso and carried a value that made it significant for everyday transactions at a time when the economy faced inflationary pressures. The obverse side of the coin bore the profile of Andres Bonifacio, one of the most revered national heroes of the Philippines. Bonifacio symbolized resistance, bravery, and the struggle for independence as the leader of the Katipunan movement, which spearheaded the Philippine Revolution against Spanish rule. Choosing Bonifacio as the face of the coin was not just a random act of commemoration. It was a deliberate political and cultural choice, highlighting the need to draw inspiration from the struggles of the past in order to strengthen the nation of the present. His image stood as a reminder of Filipino pride and resilience, and by placing him on the two-piso coin, the government sought to link his revolutionary spirit to the everyday lives of Filipinos handling the currency. On the reverse side, the coin displayed the official seal of the Republic of the Philippines along with the year of minting 1984, a period of significant transition for the country. The seal itself stood for sovereignty, unity, and the vision of the state. It tied together the emblem of the nation with the practical symbol of monetary value, reflecting how state authority extended into every sphere of life, including commerce and trade. The production of the two-piso coin was managed by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, and its introduction was part of a broader effort to modernize the currency system during the 1980s. The coin was minted primarily in copper-nickel alloy, giving it durability and a distinctive metallic sheen that distinguished it from smaller denominations. At that time, the design was part of the Flora and Fauna series, which the central bank adopted to showcase both national heroes and the rich biodiversity of the Philippines. This series was symbolic because it combined historical figures with natural heritage, creating a powerful narrative of national pride in both people and land. The 1984 two-piso coin was widely circulated and became an essential part of daily commerce in marketplaces, jeepney fairs, and small-scale trade. Filipinos would have held this coin countless times, often without realizing the layers of meaning embedded in its design to the ordinary citizen. The coin was a practical tool, but to historians and numismatists, it was a reflection of a national story unfolding in the midst of economic challenges and political turbulence. During the mid-1980s, inflation was a growing concern, and the value of the peso was under pressure. Coins, such as the two-piso, had to be produced in sufficient quantities to keep up with transactional demands, yet the government also faced budgetary challenges in sustaining the minting of higher denomination coins. This made the two-piso an interesting case in currency history because it was both highly functional and at the same time part of an experimental phase of Philippine coinage. The Flora and Fauna series marked a departure from older designs and sought to bring fresh symbolism into the currency system. Collectors today view the 1984 two-piso coin as a valuable piece, not necessarily because of its monetary worth, but because of its place in the story of Philippine currency. Its design, featuring Bonifacio, is a timeless reminder of the revolutionary spirit, while the reverse connects the coin to state authority and sovereignty. When numismatists evaluate such coins, they look at the year of minting, the metal composition, the mintage numbers, and the state of preservation. While many of these coins circulated heavily and thus show signs of wear, some well-preserved examples command collector interest particularly, because coins from the mid-1980s are becoming increasingly harder to find in pristine condition. To truly understand the depth of this coin, one must situate it within the broader historical moment. 1984 was a year marked by economic crisis, social unrest, and growing opposition to the Marcos regime. The presence of Bonifacio on the coin resonated strongly with Filipinos who saw in him the symbol of the common man's fight against oppression. His placement on a circulating coin meant that his legacy was carried in the hands of millions, daily reinforcing a sense of connection to the past. In a way, the two-piso coin of 1984 was not just currency. It was a silent storyteller linking the struggles of independence with the realities of modern governance. It was an emblem of national pride at a time when the Philippines was wrestling with its own identity and future direction. Its survival in the hands of collectors and historians today ensures that its story continues to be told. The 1984 two-piso coin carries with it a story that stretches far beyond its metallic form, because it was born in a time when the Philippines was navigating political storms, economic pressures, and a population that sought to balance tradition with the challenges of modernization. To expand on its history, we need to go deeper into its symbolism, its usage, its cultural impact, and its significance for collectors today, as well as how it fit into the broader framework of Philippine coinage. When the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas first issued the 20-piso coin in the early 1980s, it was responding to a practical need. The inflation of the late 1970s and early 1980s had eroded the purchasing power of the peso, making higher denomination coins necessary for everyday use. The introduction of the second piso coin in 1983 and its continuation into 1984 represented not just an economic adjustment, but also a redesign of how the Filipino people interacted with money for the first time. Many ordinary citizens found themselves regularly handling coins of higher value that could pay for meals in small eateries, jeepney rides, and household goods. This shift symbolized how inflation was creeping into everyday life, while at the same time, the government attempted to maintain a sense of order through monetary design. The face of Andres Bonifacio was not chosen randomly. His portrait had long been a subject of debate in Philippine history, as he was often overshadowed by José Rizal. Yet Bonifacio represented the grassroots, the working class, the man of action rather than words. He was not only a revolutionary leader, but also a symbol of defiance against colonial oppression. His placement on the two-piso coin gave him a powerful presence in the national consciousness, reminding people of the sacrifices made for independence at a time when many Filipinos themselves were questioning the freedoms they had under the martial law era. In 1984, the image of Bonifacio was a bold statement. And while the coin itself was simply legal tender, the symbolism was deeply tied to the identity and emotions of the people. If we study the reverse side of the coin, the seal of the Republic of the Philippines becomes another layer of meaning. Sun, the stars, and the shield symbolized sovereignty and national integrity. It told a story of a state that wished to portray stability, even when the political environment was anything but stable. In 1984, opposition to the government was growing. Street protests were intensifying, and the assassination of Ninoy Aquino in 1983 had shaken the political order. Yet in the midst of all this turmoil, the national seal stamped onto every coin was a declaration that the government remained the guardian of national order. Every coin carried that assertion, whether people accepted it or not. The composition of the coin itself in copper-nickel alloy is also significant. This blend was chosen for its durability since coins had to endure constant circulation. The metallic quality gave the coin a distinctive look and feel, making it different from the smaller one. Peso coin, the weight and shine of the two-piso, gave it a sense of authority. It felt valuable in the hand, and it stood out in wallets and purses. In markets across the country, you could see stall owners piling up coins like these from customers buying vegetables, fish, rice, and daily essentials. The two-piso was practical, but it also had presence. It became part of the rhythm of everyday life. 4. Collectors today, the 1984 two-piso coin represents a bridge between two important phases of Philippine coinage, the earlier Filipino series and the later Flora and Fauna series in which it belonged. The Flora and Fauna series was not merely an artistic experiment. It was part of a conscious attempt to highlight the richness of the Philippines both in history and in nature. This design philosophy aimed to build national pride and make every coin a miniature history lesson or cultural symbol, while the two-piso focused on a hero. Other coins in the series featured flora and fauna that tied the Filipino identity to the land itself. In this way, the currency became not only a means of payment, but also a teaching tool and a daily reminder of heritage. Have you ever held a coin in your hand and wondered if it was just loose change or a silent witness to a nation's journey, a small object carrying within it the pulse of history, culture, and transformation? What if I told you that the two-piso coin of 1989 is not just a piece of metal, but a living record of the Philippines at a time of great political shifts, economic struggles, and cultural pride? This is more than money. It is the story of a nation carved into copper-nickel alloy waiting to be discovered. The two-piso coin issued in 1989 stands as part of the Flora and Fauna series, a revolutionary numismatic program introduced by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas to bring the nation's rich biodiversity into the hands of its citizens, and to highlight the Philippines as one of the most biologically diverse countries in the world. Before this series, coins primarily bore images of national heroes and political figures, but beginning in 1983, the government launched this bold initiative to blend patriotism with environmental awareness, and by 1989, the two-piso coin had fully established itself as one of the most symbolic pieces in the series. On the obverse of the 1989 two-piso coin, we see the image of Andres Bonifacio, a national revolutionary, hero who stands as the father of the Philippine Revolution against Spanish colonial rule. His portrait appears alongside inscriptions that remind the holder of his enduring importance. Bonifacio was more than a figurehead. He was the embodiment of courage and resistance, and his inclusion on the two-piso coin was no accident. It was a deliberate act to remind Filipinos of their resilience and their ongoing fight for justice and equality during the late 1980s, a decade still shaped by the shadow of dictatorship and the rise of democracy. The reverse of the 1989 two-piso coin reflects the unique character of the Flora and Fauna series. It depicts the coconut palm scientifically known as Cocos nucifera, a plant that has been central to Filipino life for centuries, providing food, shelter, livelihood, and trade. The coconut is known as the tree of life in the Philippines, and its placement on the coin tied together the themes of economic survival, cultural symbolism, and natural abundance. During this period, the coconut industry played a major role in the Philippine economy, making the image not only a cultural emblem, but also an economic one. The technical details of the coin also reveal much about its purpose and design, struck in copper-nickel. The coin has a diameter of 31 millimeters and a weight of 14 grams, making it relatively large and hefty. Compared to smaller denominations, its reeded edge added both a security feature and a sense of tactile identity, so that even without sight, one could distinguish it from other coins minted by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. The 1989 two-piso coin carried the minting quality and artistry that connected Philippine coinage to global standards while still retaining a unique identity. What makes the 1989 issue so significant is not just its physical design, but the historical backdrop of its circulation. This was a time when the Philippines was transitioning from the authoritarian rule of Ferdinand Marcos into the more democratic framework under President Corazon Aquino. The People Power Revolution of 1986 had reshaped the political landscape, and by 1989, the country was navigating new challenges. The peso's strength against foreign currencies fluctuated, the national economy struggled with inflation and debt, yet coins like the two-piso remained steady daily reminders of resilience in the hands of ordinary citizens. As we dive deeper into its historical context, we see that this coin circulated widely across markets, jeepney rides, sari stores, and public schools. It became a tangible link between rural farmers selling coconuts, fishermen along the coasts, teachers buying chalk, and children purchasing snacks. This simple coin connected millions of lives, and in its daily use became part of the rhythm of Filipino existence. A nation undergoing recovery after years of turmoil still trusted its currency as a foundation of normal life collectors. Today, view the two-piso 1989 coin not only for its face value, but as a treasured artifact in numismatics. Coins from this series gain special attention because they represent a unique period in Philippine coin design when art, politics, economy, and environment converged in one series condition. Rarity and historical relevance determine collector interest, and the 1989 coin remains sought after in uncirculated condition, with luster intact. Some collectors preserve it in albums as part of the full flora and fauna set, making it a centerpiece of study and appreciation. But the coin is more than collectible metal. It is a conversation piece that speaks of the global coinage trends of the late 20th century. During this time, many nations experimented with bimetallic issues, larger denominations, and thematic designs. The Philippines, through its Flora and Fauna series, stood alongside other nations in innovating its coinage not only to reflect currency needs, but to express cultural pride by embedding nature and history into coin design. The 1989 two-piso became both modern and deeply rooted in Filipino tradition. In examining its legacy, we also uncover how this coin eventually faded out of circulation. The two-piso denomination was later redesigned under the BSP series, shifting away from flora and fauna themes and toward simpler, more contemporary designs. Eventually, the two-piso coin itself was demonetized and phased out, replaced by different denominations and materials. Yet the memory of the 1989 coin persists in the hearts of Filipinos who grew up using it. It carries nostalgia, a connection to childhood, and a reminder of simpler days when 2 pesos could buy a hearty snack or a bus fare. This coin is not simply a financial instrument, it is a cultural artifact. It symbolizes the Filipino struggle for independence through Bonifacio. It celebrates natural abundance through the coconut palm. It stands as a witness to political transformation in the late 1980s, and it continues to live on in the collector community as a piece of history that you can hold between your fingers. So the next time you come across a two-piso coin from 1989, do not just see it as spare change. See it as a key to understanding a nation, a revolution, a people, and a way of life. A coin that has traveled through pockets and hands across decades, carrying with it a story far greater than its modest denomination. When we explore the two-piso 1989 coin, we must begin by placing it within the larger historical timeline of Philippine coinage, because a coin is never just designed out of thin air. It is born out of necessity, shaped by culture, influenced by politics, and molded by the economic conditions of its era. The 1989 coin belongs to the Flora and Fauna series, a line of coins that ran from 1983 to 1994. Each denomination carefully selected to highlight the natural riches of the Philippines, along with the faces of national heroes. The decision to merge heroes and nature was intentional, as the government sought to reframe national identity after years of political turmoil. The Flora and Fauna series was a landmark departure from the Filipino series that preceded it in the 1970s, which had emphasized national leaders and statesmen alone. The move to showcase plants and animals on coinage reflected a growing global awareness of environmental conservation and the desire to use everyday objects as tools of education and patriotism. Think of it this way. Every Filipino who used these coins was subconsciously reminded of the beauty of their land and the sacrifices of their heroes. In the case of the second piso coin, Andres Bonifacio stood proudly on the obverse side, reminding citizens of the revolution, while the coconut palm on the reverse linked the present to the nation's agricultural lifeline. Andres Bonifacio, born in 1863, was not an elite or aristocratic leader unlike Jose Rizal, who came from a more educated class. Bonifacio rose from humble beginnings in Tondo, Manila, working as a warehouse clerk and, later as a propagandist for independence. He founded the Katipunan in 1892, an underground revolutionary society that lit the spark of revolt against Spanish colonial rule. His leadership style, his charisma, and his unshakable belief in equality made him a hero of the masses, yet his story also carries tragedy as he faced betrayal and eventual execution during internal struggles in the revolutionary movement. By placing his portrait on the second piso coin, the Philippines honored not only his bravery, but also the common people who embodied his spirit in daily life. The coin became a small yet powerful monument to his unfinished dream of true freedom. On the reverse, the coconut palm is equally meaningful. The Philippines is one of the world's top producers of coconuts, and by the 1980s, this crop had become vital to the national economy, producing oil food products, handicrafts, and raw materials for both domestic use and international trade. The coconut is known locally as the tree of life because every part of it can be used: the fruit for food, the husk for ropes, the leaves for roofs, the trunk for lumber, even the sap for sugar and wine. Its symbolism on the coin went beyond agriculture. It was a reminder of sustainability and survival for Filipino families from Luzon to Mindanao. What if I told you that a small piece of metal minted in 1990 carries with it the weight of history, the legacy of a nation, and the story of a currency that bridged tradition and modernity? The second piso coin of 1990 is not just a coin, it is a living witness to the Philippine economy, the struggles of a young democracy, and the artistry of the country's minting heritage. The 1990 Philippine piso coin stands as one of the most significant circulating coins in the modern history of the Philippines, because it represents the era when the country was undergoing political transformation, economic adjustment, and cultural consolidation. The coin was first introduced as part of the new design series of Philippine currency, which was launched by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas in 1983 and carried through the 1990s. The new design series was created to modernize the currency to reflect both the achievements of the past and the aspirations of the nation, and the second piso coin became one of the flagship denominations that carried a portrait of a national hero and an emblem of sovereignty. The 1990 issue of the two-piso coin was minted in nickel brass, a metal alloy chosen for its durability, affordability, and bright golden appearance, which gave the coin a distinct and prestigious look compared to the lower denominations. The obverse of the coin featured the effigy of Andres Bonifacio, one of the most revered leaders of the Philippine Revolution against Spanish colonial rule. Bonifacio, the Supremo of the Katipunan, symbolized bravery and national pride, and the decision to place his image on the second piso coin was a deliberate choice by the central bank and government officials to remind Filipinos of the sacrifices of their ancestors in the struggle for independence. The reverse of the 1990 two-piso coin displayed the seal of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, surrounded by the words Republika ng Pilipinas, and the denomination in clear bold type. This design was meant to ensure recognition and trustworthiness in everyday commerce. The coin was 27 millimeters in diameter and weighed 8.7 grams with a reeded edge that discouraged counterfeiting and added tactile familiarity to users in circulation during 1990. The two-piso coin played a central role in everyday transactions at a time when inflation was a pressing issue in the Philippine economy. It had significant purchasing power, being used for small meals, for public transportation fares, and for simple household items. To put this in perspective, In the year 1990, a 2-peso coin could buy a jeepney ride in Manila or a piece of bread. In a neighborhood bakery which gave the coin both economic and cultural importance, the minting of the 1990 2-peso coin took place at the facilities of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas Security Plant Complex, which was established to provide the country with its own independent means of producing banknotes and coins. Prior to the development of these facilities, the Philippines often relied on foreign mints, such as those in the United States and Spain, to supply its currency. But by the 1990s, the nation had fully developed its own minting capacity, making the 1990 2-peso coin a symbol of self-sufficiency and national pride. Historically, the 1990 coin came at a time when the Philippines was under the presidency of Corazon Aquino, who assumed office in 1986 following the People Power Revolution that ended the Marcos regime. The country was navigating a fragile democracy and working to stabilize its institutions. The currency, including coins like the 2-peso, became a silent but constant reminder of national identity and order in commerce throughout the period. Numismatically, the 1990 2-peso coin is highly regarded among collectors because it represents a distinct transitional period in Philippine coinage. By the early 2000s, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas began phasing out the large 2-peso coin, replacing it with smaller bimetallic issues, and eventually discontinuing the denomination altogether in everyday circulation. This makes the 1990 issue especially notable, since it was widely used but now has become a piece of history rather than a common sight in wallets and pockets. Collectors value the coin not only for its age, but also for its condition, with uncirculated or proof-like examples fetching premium interest in numismatic markets beyond its physical attributes. The 1990 2-peso coin carries deep cultural symbolism. The use of Andrés Bonifacio on its obverse reminds citizens of a man who represented the masses, the working class, and the revolutionary spirit that fought for liberty. Whereas many other heroes came from privileged backgrounds, Bonifacio was a self-educated man of humble origins who rose to leadership through sheer determination and courage. Placing him on the coin elevated his legacy and cemented his image in the minds of millions of Filipinos who handled the coin in daily life. This coin also mirrors the broader trend in the Philippines during the late 20th century of reinforcing national pride through currency. The choice of imagery was educational for younger generations who might not have known the story of Bonifacio in detail, but were reminded every time they handled the coin in commerce. Furthermore, the economic context of 1990 shaped the coin's significance. The Philippines was recovering from years of political turmoil and foreign debt, and the currency faced challenges in maintaining stability. The 2-peso coin circulated alongside banknotes of higher denominations, but unlike paper money, the coin had durability and was expected to last in circulation for many years, reducing replacement costs for the central bank. This durability also meant that many of these coins remained in circulation well into the late 1990s and early 2000s, becoming a familiar sight for Filipinos across different regions. The 1990 2-peso coin was also part of a global numismatic shift where many nations were moving toward higher denomination coins due to inflation and the practicality of coins over paper money for small values. Similar trends could be seen in countries like Canada, the United Kingdom, and Japan, where higher denomination coins were introduced around the same time. This placed the Philippine 2-peso coin within a global economic and numismatic context that showed how nations were adapting to the financial realities of the late 20th century. The legacy of the 1990 2-peso coin endures not just among collectors, but also in the memory of everyday Filipinos, who remember its weight, its golden shine, and its role in their daily lives. Today, the coin represents an artifact of national history, a reminder of the 1990s era, and a symbol of how currency can carry stories far greater than its face value when we examine the 1990 2-peso coin. We are not just looking at a piece of metal, but at a chapter in the story of the Philippines, a chapter of resilience, growth, and national pride. And this is why the coin continues to fascinate historians, economists, and collectors alike. Philippine money. This is not just about how much it is worth today. It is about the storm of events surrounding its creation, the politics, the transition of power, the cultural identity, and how it became a collectible piece that many numismatists now hunt for around the world, especially in the United States, where foreign coin collectors are realizing the hidden value of old Southeast Asian currency. We start with the year 1983, a year of turmoil in the Philippines. The nation was under the long-standing rule of President Ferdinand Marcos, and the people were going through severe political and economic instability. 1983 was the year when opposition leader Benigno Ninoy Aquino Jr. was assassinated, a moment that sent shockwaves across the Philippines and set off a nationwide movement for change. Amid this national chaos, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the Central Bank of the Philippines, continued issuing coins, including this version of the second piso coin that carried more than just its face value. It carried the image of Jose Rizal, the national hero, whose name alone invoked a sense of Spanish colonial period to fight for justice, freedom, and independence. His name inscribed around the coin, his eyes seeming to gaze into the uncertain future of the country that honored him more than a century after his death. The reverse of the coin featured the coat of arms of the Republic of the Philippines, and the year of mintage, 1983, it also had the phrase Republika ng Pilipinas and the face value dalawang piso. The language, the layout, and the metallic composition were all designed under the supervision of the Marcos government, making it not just a piece of money but a tool of state communication, national symbolism, and even political legitimacy in a time when the country was nearing breaking point. The 1983 two-piso coin had relatively limited circulation compared to other denominations. It was part of the Flora and Fauna series, which included several other denominations that aimed to reflect the natural and cultural richness of the country, but the sec piso stood out because of its size, metallic luster, and the powerful legacy of the man it displayed. Jose Rizal had appeared on several denominations before, but on this coin during this year, the symbolism hit harder than ever before. As we dive deeper, we must consider the economic state of the Philippines during this period. Inflation was high, unemployment was rising, and many Filipinos were migrating abroad in search of better lives. Remittances from overseas Filipino workers, or OFWs, began to be one of the biggest economic lifelines in currency, including coins like the two-piso, traveled with them, crossing borders and seas, ending up in private hands overseas. This is one of the key reasons why the 1983 two-piso coin is now commonly found in collector markets in the U.S. and Europe, especially among those who collect world coins, or coins from revolutionary eras. During the same time, coinage in the Philippines was being redesigned as the nation moved toward more modern minting techniques and explored the phasing out of higher denomination coins in favor of paper currency or lower-cost materials, thus making coins like the brass two-piso from 1983 even more unique. This coin was one of the last of its kind before the government moved to cheaper metals and updated designs in the years that followed, particularly after the fall of Marcos in 1986, when the People Power Revolution changed the course of Philippine history forever. From a numismatic point of view, the 1983 two-piso coin offers collectors a rich array of interest points, including its limited run the national hero image, its historical timing during a regime that was on the brink of collapse, and its status today as a part of both Philippine and global coin collections condition also plays a massive role in determining its value. If you happen to find this coin in uncirculated or mint condition, it could fetch a significantly higher price than face value, especially if it has no scratches, dents, or tarnish, and even more if it is graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. There are reports that certain die varieties exist among the 1983 two-piso Coins, some have slightly off-centered minting, while others have variations in the shape of letters or placement of numbers. These slight errors make the coin even more desirable for error collectors who specialize in minting flaws. And if you own one of these rare error types, it might be worth a lot more than a regular specimen. Today, collectors value this coin not just for its face design, but for the story it tells. Every coin is a time capsule, and this one captures a moment when a country was balancing on the edge of revolution and reform, when its people were crying for justice, and when a simple brass coin carried the image of a man who once dreamed of freedom and died for it. José Rizal's face was not just on a coin, but on the soul of a nation ready for change. In the United States, many Filipino-American families still have this coin kept in old jars or boxes passed down from older relatives. It is often found mixed with pennies, nickels, and dimes forgotten, but powerful to those who understand what it represents. If you are lucky enough to find a 1983 two-piso coin in your possession, do not underestimate it. You are holding a story of resistance, colonial memory, national pride, and survival in the form of a small golden disc. Some collectors even seek full flora and fauna sets where this coin becomes a centerpiece due to its size, design, and metallic beauty. Online marketplaces show varying prices for this coin, from a few dollars for worn pieces up to $50 or more for pristine or error versions, and the value continues to grow as more collectors turn their attention to rare coins from Southeast Asia and the political narratives they hold. So what do we learn from this humble coin? We learn that even a small currency unit can become a symbol of something much larger. We learn that coins carry history, not just value, and we learn that understanding context, politics, and timing can transform a simple coin into a legendary collectible, whether you are a beginner collector or a seasoned numismatist. The 1983 two-piso coin deserves a place in your study, your case, and your heart. Stay tuned, because up next we will compare this coin to the later versions of bimetallic versions and discuss how the image of José Rizal evolved on Philippine currency. Over the decades, you will see how one man's legacy continued to inspire coins, politics, and a generation of collectors all around the world. Keep watching, subscribe, and make sure you check your old coin collections, because you never know what rare piece of forgotten history is sitting right under your nose.